Okay, perfect. Okay, so good morning. We're gonna go ahead and get started, and then we're gonna do the drawing momentarily. And so everybody's cards are in here. And I'm gonna draw one, and if you're not here or online, you don't win the $100. And then we're gonna add another 20 to it every week. We'll keep doing it until somebody wins it, and then we'll reset at 100. So today we're gonna do the exercise of listing appointments. So we had the listing presentations. Everybody should have a listing presentation, and you should be comfortable with it now. Listings are gold. That everybody wants listings. If you are a new agent, you need a listing presentation, because you know, don't wait until you have a seller, because then you're not going to be comfortable. You're going to be scrambling. They may want you to meet the next day and you're not going to be prepared. So do your listing presentation. It serves two purposes. It's impressive. It looks professional. Also, it gives you a guideline, things you should be covering, and you can leave it with them. Leave them with something. When you meet with them, leave them with something, right? So leave them with a listing presentation. So if you don't have one, get one. And we have some downtown branded ones. You can do your own. You know, some are a little more masculine, a little more feminine
in my closet.
than
I bought
others.
them like
but
a year
fine.
ago. I pulled a cat.
What's happening?
If anybody does want one too, I can make them for me, email them, if you could just let me know.
Yeah,
and then I
Brittany can make one for you guys and she'll email them. So I was talking to an agent who is not in our brokerage, but I had a nice talk with him. And he sold over at the coast as well as here. And he always has a listing presentation, whether you know him, whether they're your friend, whoever they are, he has one. The other thing that he does that I thought was really interesting is he pays for a pest inspection and a home inspection before he puts the property on the market. And I thought that was interesting. And I asked him, what do you do with that home inspection? Do you make them fix everything? He said, no, he just makes them aware. And like, he might go through and say, you might want to do these, but he leaves it up to them. But then you kind of know what's going to appear. And it helps you negotiate, right? Because if a seller knows that there's a big problem with whatever it is, and it's a $2,000 fix, they're going to work that in their brain kind of. It's easier on the front end to do it than when you're in the middle of repairs. Like, oh, guess what? You accepted this price, but now they're asking for this, and then they're complaining about it, right? So just a different way. Everybody has their own style. I have my own style. Everybody has their own. Develop a style, right? And get it down. So that's why I wanted everybody to look at the listing presentations. And then today we're just going to kind of practice. The ones that are online, if you're in an office with somebody and you want to partner up, that's great. If you're not and you want to FaceTime with them, present each other, do the listing presentation as if they're a seller, and then critique each other. It's okay. If we can't do it and critique each other here, we're never going to be able to do it in front of a seller, right? You've got to get comfortable with it. You've got to get comfortable with doing the listing presentation and then pricing them properly. Okay. So it was funny because then I got this email, can't take credit for this, but this guy came up with this. And it's the 2 things you need to set a listing appointment. And it's, what are the seller's motivation and timeline? Selling a home is a need item. People sell because they need to, not because they want to, right? And those are the ones we want. The ones that need to. The ones that want to, I don't like those sellers. Those are the ones that like, oh, we want to price it 100 grand over at what it's worth. We don't have to sell, but we just kind of want to. We want to see what's going to happen. And then you get in the middle of that deal, and that is the biggest stress you've ever had in your life, because they're like, why isn't it selling? Why isn't it? And you're way overpriced, but there's no motivation. They don't need to. And it says, think about the reasons people usually sell: divorce, death, financial distress, medical, like can't take care of the home, job relocation, lifestyle upgrade, need more space, empty nesters, And without a reason that fits into one of these categories, they probably aren't serious about selling. So you need to ask the questions and find out why. And then, he goes on to say, if they don't have an actual time frame, they aren't ready to sell either. If they need to sell within the next 90 days, then that's when you want to set up your listing appointment. If they say 6 months to a year or longer, you can still meet with them, but you're going to have to do the whole process all over again. Because the market will have changed when they're actually ready to list. So I wouldn't say, let's wait. I would give them a listing presentation, but just say, we'll regroup when you're a little bit closer and then stay in contact with them, right? So whenever you're talking to someone that says they're thinking about selling, you should ask lots of questions about these two things. And it says, when you're ready, when you're setting a listing appointment, shoot for sooner rather than later. So it says within 72 hours. Okay. Okay, so let's do the drawing.
All right. So we have 20-something, 20.
Okay.
You're in.
Jackie, how did you get that card?
So those that didn't have a card, here's the real answer. Good.
Okay, this is fair. This is fair.
Here's what's fair. So someone asked, what if I just throw in my own card to have an extra chance? You can't. There's already a label on the people that had a card. Those that didn't have a card, you got a wonderful Sarah Catalina card with a label that has your name on it. So therefore,
So if you're here, I
Everyone-
get your money now.
so no matter what, everyone is in here.
Okay, so who wants to draw? Or do you want me to draw? Should we let Brittany draw? Who's gonna draw?
You, because you're the only one that's not in there.
I don't trust Brittany.
Jim has got this call, right?
Yeah.
There, you're not gonna.
It's Esther. Is she there?
Nope. I didn't see her.
Thank you, Esther.
That's it. So next week, $120.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Womp womp.
One. Okay, so does anybody have any questions or comments about listing presentations? Now the time, let's talk about it before we buddy up and start doing presentations. And when you buddy up, okay, critique, and then think about what you would do differently next time. Because it's okay, this is the time to do it. Like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done that. I would have done it differently this time. Okay, and we can go into different rooms and do things like that. But does anybody have any questions, comments? No, somebody's got to have a question about a listing.
Okay.
Sarah, I had an idea, because I left some open houses in Visalia. And I put the 3 leads from there within the area, but I do have my buyer's presentation ready. And the listing presentation. So I set up the appointment, but I still gave them to them right there. So they really got informative. So now they're thinking about selling maybe within the next 6 months. But that's another thing that.
Right, so it's something you can give to somebody right there. Marty seems more professional than the agent that just goes in and wings it, right? Like, oh, I'm just gonna show up at the open house. I'm not really prepared. She's very prepared. Because what's the goal of an open house? We're trying to get buyers, we're trying to get sellers. We're trying to identify who they are. We don't tell sellers this, but it's really not to sell the house. We try, but that's not really what it is. It's really a lead generating tool for us. Open houses are lead generating. So if you're prepared and you have a beautiful pamphlet, a listing presentation, you could have those out at an open house. Let them look at it. You don't know who's thinking about selling.
Because actually, they were just around the area, they wanted to just live on a house.
Well, neighbors are nosy, right? When they show, you want to figure, and they want to compare their house. That's why this is a different topic, but when I do an open house, I ask people, how did you like the house? What do you think about the area? They're gonna tell you if they live there, because if they live there, they're gonna say, oh, we've lived here for 10 years. They want to brag, right? Oh, we love this area. We lived here for 10 years. So you know you've got a potential seller, right? Oh, really? Where's your house? Yeah, and then how does yours compare with this? Get them to engage with you, get them to talk. How does yours, do you think yours is worth more or less? I always kind of let them run the show and bring them in, a little bit interactive, right? And if they say, oh, I've been looking in this area for months, they're a buyer. But that's okay, you know, so that's great, have the listing presentation now when are we doing the buyer's presentation? I think that's March. We're gonna do the same thing that we're doing with listing presentations, but we're gonna do buyer's presentation. And because what we're doing next month is I'm gonna train you guys on never lose a customer again. And this book, I started reading it. This has nothing to do with real estate. This book has absolutely nothing to do with real estate. But what it does have, but it talks about how to engage with our clients and keep our clients. And so I think that will lead well into a buyer's presentation, because when do you think we sell a buyer? Is it when they agree to work with us, or was it when they actually make an offer on a house, or is it actually when they close? When does the sale actually happen? I mean, I think it's when they trust us enough to work with
That was
us.
in the answer.
That's what I feel is the sale, not the close of the house. I don't think that's the sale. I think, and so you've got to get them to that point where they're comfortable enough that they're going to want to do the sale with you, and then you don't want to lose them. And this whole book starts out with how this guy hates going to the dentist, and he goes to this dentist, and it was the best experience he's ever had. Like they made him feel good. They made him feel comfortable. They told him what was going to happen. After he went home, the office called him and checked on him to see how he was doing. He felt so good with the experience, and that's a negative, painful experience. And believe it or not, buying real estate is a painful experience for most people. It's very, very painful. So anyway, I'm reading this book, and then I'm going to turn it into a training for you guys. I'm going to condense it down. That's what we're doing next month. The month after that, we're doing a buyer's presentation. Okay.
So who here does not have their listing presentation printed out?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, we'll get one printed up for you. Romy, can you hear me?
Where you go, man?
Can you upload one into the what's it called, Zoom, please?
Okay, I will.
And because the reality is, we're realtors until you're nagged or forced into the I have to have it. That's usually when you do it. But if you're more prepared, like Marty, when we first got into the industry, we were taught to have an accordion folder. Our car should always have 5 listing presentations, 5 buyers presentations. At the time, we specialized in short sales. We carried 15 short sale presentations always, because our team was always door knocking for those. In a sense, expired usually it was just a listing presentation with a sheet or 2 of expireds on top. And then we always had our go-to open house box with all of our stuff, because we were doing open houses every week. Now, in theory, most of us don't do that much so regularly, religiously, but if you are already prepared and already have it in your car, you are ready like Marty was.
And we always procrastinate on doing the things that we really need to do.
Mhm.
And I know nobody wants to rehearse doing this. This is painful. Nobody wants to do it, but you better do it. If you're not comfortable with it, you are going to flounder when you get in front of a seller. They will eat you alive. I'm telling you, you get somebody who is seasoned, who owns a house, who's been through the process, they will put it to you. You're going to have a problem, right? So, because like this guy says, motivation and timeline. You need to know the motivation, you need to know their timeline. And then what's the third thing that is so important that we've got to convey to these people? What is it? What's the third thing?
Value.
That's it, value. So you better spend time pulling comps. If you are not confident, call me. I will help you. We will pull comps together. We will get the value. Because if you're not sold on the value, you're not going to be able to sell your sellers on the value. I promise you, you won't. And they're going to come in and they're going to say, oh, you know, I just know this house is going to sell for $395,000 and you've got it valued at $335,000. You know, but I know it is, like, they are just dead sure, but you are the professional. They are not. And you've got to be able to prove it to them. without arguing, right? So if you show proof and show them why, because overlisting is a waste of time. It wastes everybody's time, right? It's disappointing to you. It's disappointing to the seller. Buyers get frustrated. And people think, oh, I definitely don't want to underlist it. The market always corrects. If you overlist, it's going to sit. You're going to either get tons of showings and no offers or no showings at all. You're going to hear crickets. Then you're going to do price reduction, price reduction, price reduction, price reduction. And then they're ending up selling for less than what you thought it was worth, right? That's what's going to happen. What's wrong with the house? If you underlist, as long as your verbiage is good, your pictures are good, even if you're underlisted, you've just got to expose it to the market. So you know what fries my butt are the posts where people say pending in 24 hours. That's great because you didn't expose the house to the market. So, even if you got a full price offer or you got above full price offer, if you would let that go, would you maybe have got a little bit more for your client? Maybe. There's some circumstances where 24 hours is good, but really what you want to do is you want to be strategic, like maybe list it on Thursday, let it go through a weekend, do your open houses, then on the Monday, and it's easy to tell agents, they're like, when are you going to present? And I'll tell them, oh, they're probably going to look at it on Tuesday. They want to let it go through the weekend. They're not going to fight you. They will. They'll be like, oh, well, my client, whatever. If they really like the house, they're going to wait. They're going to wait. So let it go through the weekend, do some open houses, and then set it. And you can tell agents, I'm going to be presenting on Tuesday, especially if you can feel that momentum building and going and it's going to be multiple offers. Just let it go. And so I've said,
The other thing too, with not overlisting is the expectation. You're
Right.
gonna look like the bad person or the incompetent person. Because if you leave their expectations at something that's not real. And then say you do sell it for top dollar of what its actual value is, but that's below what they have in their head. In reality, you're a superstar, but they look at you as somebody who couldn't sell it for what it should have sold for. So like the expectations off, and you're not gonna be on the pedestal that you should be if you do successfully sell it for a good price.
right.
That also goes for underselling it as well.
Right, if you sell it too quickly. So if you underlist, people know. And the classic line that sellers say to me all the time is, oh, I want to leave room for negotiations. So this is what I say. If you price it properly, you won't have to negotiate because you're going to get really good, clean offers. And you do. So Maverick, I listed Maverick. I comped it at about 405. They wanted to list for about 410. I talked them into 399. Said, look, we're going to get good offers. We're going to get clean offers. I promise you, don't promise them they're going to get multiple offers, but just tell them this gives us the best chance at getting multiple offers because we're going to get a lot of activity. What did we get? A ton of activity. As soon as I listed it, showing. And we got 3 offers. All of them were above full price because the agent knew that it was priced really well. They knew it was underpriced. So the first one I got was 405, then I got a 415, and then I got a 420. So we settled on the 415. That's the one we accepted. And it was 5,000 more than what my clients wanted in the first place. Right.
Hero.
Right. So what am I? Now I'm like, oh, I went up a couple of notches in their book. Now they trust me. Whatever I tell them, they're like, oh yeah, that's okay. But it just worked its way up. And we didn't get a bunch of crappy offers. They weren't asking for weird stuff. They were so clean. We didn't need to negotiate. It was just a few little things that we countered back on and tweaked it.
And there's those mental thresholds too, like at 405.
Yep.
There's a difference mentally than 399.
Yep. And if you list it at 399 and they qualify for 4, now when I do a search, I go up to 410, 420, right? But it's amazing how many agents go right to 4 and you're at 405 and they didn't even bring it up.
It's true.
Right? So you have got to be confident in your pricing. You have to not be mean but you've got to be confident in, and I've asked sellers, they'll say, I think ours is worth this amount. Well, this one sold for this and it's the identical floor plan as yours. Why, tell me, because I'm not understanding, why is yours worth more than this one? Like, explain it, like, tell me, I'm not being smart with them, I'm not being mean, I'm just like, I'm not seeing it. Why would you as a buyer pay more for this one than this one? And they usually can't come up with a reason. And then that's how you win, you kind of win that argument. If they want to overlist, and if they are, motivated and the timeline, then you have to have the discussion, okay, we'll try it for 2 weeks. But if we get zero showings, or if we get tons of showings, no offers, then we are going to reduce that price in 2 weeks. And we're going to go down to my price. I've even done a net sheet showing where I think it's going to comp. I circle that and I'll have them sign it and leave it with them. So because they could go, yeah, remember, that's what I told you it was going to sell, right? You hate to say I told you so, but you're going to say I told you so. And so because they're like, well, we started at 450 and now we're all the way down to 410. That's where I valued the property at. That's what the value is.
And if you can, sometimes you'll have the opportunity, if you've just sold something that's similar or anything like that, you can point to it. Like on this memory one, I was lucky enough that I had just listed that one on Sandra and I got multiple offers on it and went above.
Mhm.
So I was able to like use that as, look, this happened right here. Now look at this house. Based on this, I'm sorry, but we're gonna go for this. This house is worth more than yours. And I said, look, it's got RV parking, it's got a 3rd car garage, it's 20 years newer, blah, blah, blah. So I'm gonna put yours right around in this area right here. And then that gave me credibility with them because they were thinking 400. I'm like, no, we're at like 370. And I was able to get them down, so if you did just sell something, like use those because it gives you credibility when you're talking to them. And I felt like it went a long way with talking to these sellers who were a little bit hard-headed, and I felt them loosen up a little bit, and I'm like, dude, I just did this.
You've got to own it. You've got to believe in the price that you're coming in with, and you've got to run the show. It doesn't mean you don't listen to them. I listen to them, but you are the professional and you set where it's going to be. If they are not motivated and they're way overpriced, then it's up to you if you want to take that listing or not. Sometimes it's better to walk away.
Well, it's harder too, because they're emotionally involved and you're not. They think their house is worth more. I've done that with furniture when I'm trying to sell it. I'm like, okay, never mind. I need to just sell it and be done with it because it's some kind of emotion
Right.
for them. And so for them to sell, it's harder than you to do. And they're like, no, I don't see it that way. Until like you'd said, point out the differences. Okay, why is yours worth more than
You
this
have to
house?
go-
It's like identical almost.
You have to go at it like their house is a commodity,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Like it's not a home, it's a commodity now. And you almost have to get the emotion out of it. And I've said to people before, like, I want you to look at these comps, like really just look at them unemotionally, right? I just want you to look at them and see, because the worst thing is just having overpriced listings and they're just sitting there. And then you've got a seller down your throat. Why isn't it selling? Why isn't it selling?
And
Why
you're
isn't it
always gonna be
selling?
the person that was in there.
It's gonna be your fault.
Your fault.
Because, oh, you didn't put that I have a gold toilet paper hanger in the gas cap, right? And you go, and you're like, what? Or they start critiquing the pictures, like, I don't think you have enough pictures of the side of the yard where the trash cans go.
And
I-
starring gold swan. faucet that
Yes,
flown in from
Yes,
the-
and so they start focusing on stuff like
You didn't
that.
tell them about the crown molding.
Yeah, so they start on all that kind of stuff and you're the bad guy. And then they're dissecting your verbiage, they're dissecting your pictures.
Mhm.
What really needs to be dissected is the price. Okay,
And reiterate to them too, that if there's any way to get to that price, you're gonna do everything in your power to make that happen. So that way they don't think that you're not fighting for them, you know what I mean, but just.
right. And I always tell them, I don't want to leave any money on the table, but I also don't want to cost you money by overlisting. And I get it, guys. It's easier for me, right? Because I'm confident with it. And I tell them very confidently, like, and I have so much experience, like I've seen this happen, or this just happened, or that just happened. And then you but you've got to get to that place to do it.
And where did we learn about the pain versus pleasure?
Bold.
Bold. So in bold, that's something that's stuck with me really good. When you're talking about what they want to do, that's wrong. Ooh, uh-oh. Associate pain with what the negative thing that they're trying to do. Associate and point out the pain with that.
Right,
And-
like if you don't sell your home in the spring. When, you know, whatever the pain is,
If we
like,
list at 400 like you're wanting to, and. And it's only at worth 380. Then you risk not anybody looking at it. It being on the market for a long time, price reductions, and then a month from now, getting an offer below what it's worth and asking for 10,000 in closing costs. Put the odds in your favor, not against you.
And then using their timeline, usually, like Sarah said, there's a need. There's a reason why they just sold it, it's all in their timeline, is because I wanna get to my grandbabies sooner. I'm tired of my wife, I don't wanna see her ass anymore. You know, it's using those cases, divorce. No, when they're going through a divorce, cause we said divorce, illness, medical bills, like whatever your case is, you wanna reuse that to them, like. Your emotion, like if we don't sell with this is more time that
you
you're
wanna be,
in this
you
hard
wanna
box.
be, you know, at the coast during the summer. If we don't
Yeah.
sell, you're not
Yeah.
gonna be there.
Sure.
And the other tagline to use is the market always corrects, because it does. It's either gonna correct down or correct up, but you gotta expose it.
And the pain versus pleasure, if we go my route at my price, if I'm wrong and it's worth more. Show the pleasure of, we're gonna receive a bunch of people are gonna look at it, we're gonna increase our chances of multiple offers, we can go up in price and you have all the leverage in negotiating. That's the pleasure. It's giving them all these good feelings about your route, and then you go their route and you're like, and you explain, you know, sitting on the market, less people and all that stuff, and you're showing them the pain.
And we
then-
list a house to sell it, not to show it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, do you want people in and out of your
No,
house
no.
for the next 4 months? It's not fun. Like, let's get it ready to go, let's price it properly, and let's get the buyer, and then you're done with that portion. Okay? Any
And
other
in the end,
questions?
They get to approve all transactions, so if they get an offer that they don't like, they just say no,
Yeah,
or counter, or. They're still in the driver's seat.
right. Right, and I was telling that too, you're the boss, I'm just here to advise.
Yep.
Now, you're the
Always
boss,
say that, you're the boss.
you're the boss.
And they get a full price offer, so the highest and best.
Yeah, well, and that's, okay, let's talk about that real quick. You get going to highest and best. So I hate highest and best, right? I hate it. Because you are gambling, you are playing with fire.
Yep.
Because if you wanna piss somebody off, find somebody who just wrote a good offer and then come in and go, now we want highest and best. When you're negotiating, if you have 6 offers, you should start with your worst offer and work them up to the highest. Don't go to the highest offer and say, oh, we might have somebody coming in with a better offer. You're gonna tee them off. They're gonna be like, we're the best offer and you're really gonna do this. So start with your worst offer and work your way up. See if you can get them to go up. But when you come in with highest and best, I tell my sellers, okay, you're playing with fire, because we could lose every single one of these. Like, I've seen it. They come back at highest and best and everybody's like, we're out. We don't want to do it.
Yep, yep.
And then as the agent, you're on the phone calling, right? Oh, dear buyers, are they still interested? You have lost all power, right? Now you're scrambling. That was yesterday's price. Yeah, now today, we want to come in 5,000 less because they know you've got
We want
nothing.
all our clothing counts.
Right, yeah. So I would suggest, if you're gonna do multiple offers, make them specific what they are. And you guys understand that when we do multiple offers, they don't all have to be the same, right? If somebody's a stronger lender, somebody like them better, whatever, their counter offer does not have to be the same as the other person's. But be very careful of highest and best. And be mindful too of where it's gonna appraise, because it doesn't matter. Somebody can come in at 100 grand over, but if it's not gonna appraise, what good does it do you?
The goal is to net the most amount of money with the least amount of risk.
Right,
Period. That's what you're trying to get for your client,
Yes.
very good.
but they make the risk.
That was a very good one. Yeah. Okay, so if does anybody else have any questions? Anybody online?
I have an invite to send to everybody.
Oh, Gus has an
Hey,
announcement.
good, baby.
Saturday, we'd like to invite you. We're participating in the Exeter Chili
I
Cook-Off.
saw that.
So downtown Village is gonna be there, the Alliance team, repping, so you guys can come on out, support, try some chili.
What time is that?
Starts at 11 and at 5.
Morning?
Mhm.
You think it's 11 at night, Lacey?
11:05, that's a long time.
Now, what, well,
That was starts at Jim's house, 11 p.m.
Yeah.
Yeah,
where's it at?
at the Exeter Memorial Building parking lot.
Okay, and then I also saw that there's gonna be a car show in Exeter.
There is.
But it's right in front of our office. It says it's on East Street. I don't know, I've gotta look on their.
Wait, when's the cook-off, Saturday?
This Saturday.
Okay.
Mhm.
Let
So,
me know what the question is, I want.
yes, Jackie's looking it up right now. Everybody, let's support Alliance team and let's go and stop in and say hi and see what they're doing and try some chili. Probably,
Okay.
Usually you
I think
pay
it's a couple
an
dollars.
entry fee to.
I think you get like a ticket.
$5-10.
Yeah, it's not.
and
too
then you
much.
can eat what, yeah, you can
You
taste
can taste all
everybody's.
of them then.
Everybody wear your downtown shirts.
Yes.
Please.
How many chilies do we have?
What?
How many chilies do we have? One for us?
Okay, so it says Rocky Hill. That's
That's
on
the-
March 15th.
No, that's a car thing. That's a different thing.
Okay.
I saw it someplace else. I'll look for it. I saw that there's some sort
Thought it
of,
was in February.
there's a car show somewhere in front on East Street. I think it is February.
Chamber. It was on the Chamber of Commerce one, right?
I don't know.
The one I show is the Rocky Hill Motor Fest,
Yeah, that's different.
March 15th.
Find someone's social security number, you can't get it.
Yeah, Jackie can find someone. If Jackie can't find this because she can hack anything, then we got a problem. Maybe I dreamt that.
Jack can't find it, stages. Yeah.
Consider what.
That's
St.
it.
Patrick's? Rocky Hill Exeter. I can't remember that. Is that called Rocky Hill Exeter?
All this came up.
And is that on East Street?
Looks like a picture right down there.
Then that might be it.
They may just call it that.
Unmute.
Okay, so,
Sarah,
okay, so,
Downtown.
that's just a screenshot, so you can't click on it.
oh, I think it is. It's March 15th. It's a Saturday. It is the Rocky Hill Motor Fest because that's right down our street. They said it's Pine and East Street. So
Oh, okay.
that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Well,
so-
hopefully see you guys Saturday.
I'll see you Saturday, Gus. I'll be down there. Okay, so let's break up into pairs or groups and let's do some work. Let's do a workshop.
Those of you online, okay, for our online people, hey, you guys,
Guys,
for our online people, we will break you up partner you up. If you have someone that's in the office next to you, please partner yourselves up first. Those that are on digital, we're gonna give you guys this contact info so you can connect with each other. Sound okay with that? Thumbs up,
ready, set,
go.
list.
Come on, what are we doing, just role play?